This is Katie Hunter from MMA UK. I'm here with your winner, Harry Hardwick. Harry, we're used to seeing you in a lot of wars, but this one seemed to be easier for you tonight.
Yeah, so normally I have hard three rounders and I'm a bit knackered by this point, but I've got 5 more rounds of energy in me right now. I've got tons of energy. And it's a weird one because as much as I've been in a lot of wars, if you go by all the judges' scorecards, out of the 12, well, now 13 rounds I've fought in Cage Warriors, I've lost one of them.
Yeah.
People say oh, he has wars, he's a bit of a fucking Matt Brown type. But there is no one in Cage Warriors, I think, other than maybe Jack Shaw, who has consistently won rounds the way I do and do it in entertaining fights. No one. Find me anyone.
Yeah. Well, this was another entertaining fight tonight. The first round, you nearly had him out of there at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I just a little bit more time, a little bit better shot selection, and I think I'd have dusted him. But it is what it is. Got to express myself a bit more. I really enjoy fighting. As much as sometimes the negative feelings can creep in just a little bit in the back, they're not as bad for me as for some people, but they will a little bit. Actually being in there, and it's just weird things like the feeling of the impact. Sometimes something hard hits your arm and it hurts, but it's a very exclusive to fight pain. There's the sensation of when you break someone down and their breathing starts to feel different. Everything about it's so fucking good. And then obviously punching someone's mint.
Well, you nearly got the KO then, or the TKO then, but then in the second round, you got the most beautiful back take. It was like poetry in motion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still knocked him unconscious. Well, he was still unconscious.
He was definitely unconscious.
I got a guy unconscious. I mean, apparently his head nearly burst like a balloon.
Well, it was crazy. You got to watch it back, but the way that you took the back, then when you got the body triangle on, and then when you put the squeeze on, his mouth guard popped out, his eyes looked like they were going to pop out, and he was gone.
So I have a fucking squeeze and a half on the rear naked.
We saw.
Not to give any secret, but I've finished rear nakeds in the gym from bottom side control. Yeah. If I get one, they're fucked. So I knew the moment I got behind him, I was like, he's fucked.
Yeah.
He's done. So I knew I could just put everything into that, and then, yeah, felt sound. It was just awkward spooning an unconscious guy for 10 seconds because I couldn't move my leg.
Not your normal Friday night.
Not my normal Friday night at all.
And tell me what's going on in your division. Obviously, Paul Hughes, we're waiting to find out whether he's going to be signed to the UFC. It's kind of holding up the division. You've got Jordan Vucenic fighting tonight. There's a lot of other good guys.
So, the featherweight division, when I signed with Cage Warriors, was a clusterfuck. 2 years later, the featherweight division is still a clusterfuck. Yeah. It's still the most stacked division in combat sports outside of the UFC. Yeah. I 100% believe that. Mm-hmm. I believe you put any Cage Warriors top 5 featherweight on the Contenders Series, they smash it, get a UFC contract. Paul Hughes, I think he may have chosen the wrong strategy to wait it out. Yeah. I feel like if he'd have defended his belt once, he'd be in the UFC by now. But it's up to him and his managers what he's doing. It's annoying that he's holding up the division, but fuck it. I got offered an interim title fight against Cirilla for this one. I kind of know what he's doing next, so don't know what's going on there. So I'm just I can't be bothered waiting anymore. Yeah. I want Contender Series. I want what George has. I want to be in Vegas again, and I want to have a scrap in the Apex. I've been in lots of cages, but I think because I've been watching the UFC since the beginning, since that was the first MMA fights I've watched. Yeah. Sometimes you go into the first time I stepped into a Cage Warriors cage was oh, this is something. That UFC cage when we stepped in that just felt like home. It felt so familiar. It felt like this is where I want to be. So I want to be in Vegas scrapping someone. My lifelong goal is to be scrapping cunts around the world.
It feels like they're announcing people all the time for Contenders Series. I don't know if they're full up for this series or if there were any pullouts in the featherweight division. That's surely got your name on it. Would you do that?
Yeah, hopefully Enver Somres pulls out because he's shit. He doesn't deserve to be there. He's fucking boring, dull cunt. He's never been in an entertaining fight in his life, and he's somehow got on the Contender Series. I don't know what the fuck they were watching. He's going to get knocked out by this guy, but still.
So George puts on a great performance as well. It'd be, a great story to have you on there as well.
It's his job to mention me in his post-fight interview. If he doesn't, I'll be fucking fuming. You'll be walking home.
How do you feel about that, George?
I'll find a way.
Well, I really hope to see you on there. I think you're such an entertaining fighter, and you, as soon as the UFC microphone gets in front of you and George, I think it's going to be signed, sealed and delivered, whatever you guys do in the cage.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure to watch you put on a show again tonight.
Thank you. Inshallah, I smash Manjaro's palmo tonight.
Congrats.